So before I came to Hawaii, I was busy packing my house and getting ready to put it on the market to sell. And I had a message from somebody, and they said, "How do you have so much energy?" And I really want to address that. I want to talk about that right now. And then I'll get to what's actually happening, okay? So when you remove resistance, you have more energy. Resistance is what actually slows you down. It's not all the things that you have to do. It's not a busy schedule. It's not all the activities. That's actually not what slows you down. What slows you down is when you are resistant, when you have resisting emotions, resisting like what's happening. Any sort of resistance inside your body will start to tank your energy, shut you down. That's what happened to me for a few days before I realized I had resistance to some of the things that I was doing and the way I was trying to push myself. So energy comes from the removal or the absence of resistance. You will have more energy, greater energy, amazing energy. When you stop having resistance, life starts to happen a lot more naturally, a lot less stressfully. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen that you're going to have challenge with. You're still going to have challenge. It just means that you start to move through your challenges instead of staying stuck inside your challenges. And instead of like having negative energy about it. I don't know. I'm hoping this makes sense. And until you've experienced it, or maybe come to some of my classes where I'm going to talk about it, I'm trying to give you the snippets of information so that you can see how this actually works. Life doesn't need to be hard. So I just got off the phone with a friend of mine, and we had done a session, and she's starting to see life is happening for her, not just for her, but it's like moving through her. It's happening in amazing ways, and she's not used to that. So it feels a little bit weird, right? When we're used to life having to be hard and all of a sudden it's not hard, you're like, what's happening? And then you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, like it's going to be hard or it's going to get hard. What I'm here to tell you is when you practice being emotionally clear, you still can have challenges. You can still feel all the emotions and the sadness and the anger. You can feel those things, but you don't stay stuck in them. You don't stay in them for very long. You feel them, you allow them to move through you, and then you get to joy and excitement faster on the other end. There were some things this last week that were not favorable for me, and the week before, but you still move through them so that you can still get to joy and excitement, and you can be happy. You really can be not just happy, but I say joyful, because happiness is different than being joyful. Being joyful is a whole nother level of gratitude and awareness and happiness. So that being said, I went and looked for a place to live, and I looked at one place. And my experience was, and I'll give you the whole backstory is going to be on the podcast, but the experience literally was, I looked at the one, I met with a realtor. It was an amazing realtor, by the way, and it was meant to be. And he gave me lots more options, and I started looking at the options, and I'm like, nope, like this isn't, no, none of them fit. None of them were there. I don't know how to not flash you from this angle. Anyway, so that being said, it didn't feel right. And I trust myself. That was my whole Italy journey, was learning how to trust myself, trust the way I felt, trust the energy that I had toward and around things. So I was kind of scrolling through, looking at other properties, and I'm like, nope, maybe. And I tried to talk myself into it. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be talking myself into anything. If it's not right, it's not right. And if it feels right, it's right. So the most amazing thing happened. We went to look at the one place that I was like, this is the place. This meets the criteria. Because before I came here, let me tell you, I made a list of all of the things I liked about every place I've ever lived. Not lived, stayed. Not lived. I've always lived in Idaho. But I've traveled and I've stayed a lot of different places. And there's specific things that I've loved about all the different places I've stayed, including the location, the amount of people that were around the locations, walkability, where I would go running every day, like what my routine would look like, loving the ocean. I loved the ocean when I was in the Bahamas. There's very specific criteria, including I also don't want something big, because I don't want to be trying to fill something right now. And to me, what it means to have like a 3-bedroom house means that I'm waiting for other people to come with me. And I'm living for me right now, because I am not, the best way to explain that, like I'm not trying to create a space to fill with another family. I don't know, that's maybe not going to make sense to you, but for me, in not having my partner, like my life partner, my like eternal companion, not having that right now, having a space where I feel like I'm waiting, having waiting energy to fill that space with that person, feels really terrible and not congruent with what I really need right now. I just needed a space for me and a space to write my book. So what was so amazing is this one specific place, we go look at it and we walk in and the seller was there. And so I went and sat down and talked to the seller. I put a picture up of her a couple days ago. Anyway, I went and sat down and talked to the seller, and the seller is an author. And she literally wrote her book in that place I was looking at. And I was like, really? Like, wow, it took me back, because I was looking for a specific place that had an ocean view and a lanai patio, for those not out here, but a lanai that I could sit. I could have lots of windows. It could be open to be able to hear the ocean. It needed to be a 1-bedroom, lots of light. I needed to have a gym. I needed to have access to walkability, to people, to restaurants, so I could take myself out to dinner like I love to do in Italy. Those were all criteria for what I wanted. I don't want a house. I don't want a yard. I don't want to take care of more things. I want to just be less responsible when it comes to the amount of house that I have. So all of these things I already had pictured in my mind. I already had this list. I had this idea of what this was going to look like and what I wanted. So when I found the place, I'm like, this is the place. Let's go look at this place. Then we show up and this lady's there, and had the most amazing conversation with her. Her name is Beth. And she just got done writing her book, and she's like, I wrote on the couch. I wrote in the bedroom here. You know, I didn't write on the night because I got kind of distracted by the people. She's telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, I am here to write my book. I was literally looking for a place to write my book. And the energy in the place and the fact that it all just came right together. And I'm like, yes, this is the place. Like, this is it. And anyway, so there's a few pieces to that, right? There's I knew what I wanted. I knew why though. And I was set up to win. So one of the things I've been working on with my coach is not just that I'm like making decisions and doing things, but that I'm making sure I set up what I'm doing so that it's a win situation. I need to set it up to win when I'm working with other people, and set things up to win for myself. And if you don't set it up to win, you don't have all the components that you need, and then it doesn't work out, we love to go, oh my gosh, the universe is just like against me and nothing ever works out. And, you know, we go down to that rabbit hole of like negativity. But really, you just didn't have all the components to make it set up to win. That's a lot of this. Like, it's a lot. It's not the universe trying to tell you no. It's that you didn't set yourself up to win. So there were some very specific things I did before I left, including a property flip that I'm going to be teaching a class on. I'll tell you about. I haven't recorded that yet. I might do it live. I'll just do a pop-up live, and everybody can come to that if you'd like. Message me if that would be interesting to you. I did something very, what people call crazy. It was, and it is allowing me to be able to purchase this place. But it's all been set up to win. And some things I don't know. Some things I just have to have faith, and I just have to trust. I have to trust me. I have to trust God. And I don't always know what the outcome's going to be, but I can know right now how I feel right now, And if it feels right, I don't have to know what the outcome's going to be, because I know that it's the right step. And sometimes we just have to take the right steps, and then the next steps will reveal themselves, which is exactly the message that I got from God a couple weeks ago. Because I was like, I'm going to put my house up for sale. I don't know if you guys watched that story, but I'm like, I'm going to put my house up for sale. And now what? Like, and then I started feeling a ton of resistance, and I was kind of freaking out. And I went to the temple, and I sat there, and I, prayed about it. And it was like, Lisa, you've trained for this. You don't need to know all the steps. You don't need to know what's going to happen. And it's going to be even more amazing than what you could even calculate anyway, than what you can come up with. And so I was like, okay. So then there was just excitement for like the Jack in the Box of what was going to happen. And now look what's happening. Like, I found a place. I have the money to buy it from something that happened 4 or 5 months ago, provided the funds for me now that I can be able to buy this place. You can't make this stuff up, and you can't plan for this. So that's the biggest message I want to give you today. Is I'm yelling at you. I get passionate and it sounds like I'm yelling. You can't plan the things that can be like, how do I even say this? Like, you can't plan for what can be happening. Like, what's so amazing? I can't even say the words. It's going to be more amazing than you can even plan for. And you can make your plans, and you can stick, and you can hold tightly to those plans. And when you do that, you will be missing out on the blessings that God has in store for you that you can't even realize. Sorry. You just don't know. But we grip so tight, and we hold so tightly to what we think things are supposed to be. And when we do that, we don't allow space to receive. So a message for you today is try to release that grip. Oh, here we go. Good thing my makeup's waterproof. You have to release the grip on what you think it's supposed to be, how you think it's supposed to happen, because it's going to happen in an even more amazing way than you could ever even make up. You don't know. You don't know. You are making things up based off of your experience, other people's experience, research that you've done, whatever it might be. But you know what you're missing? The gap that's missing is the trusting yourself. We plan so much that we're trying to follow this plan, and then the plan doesn't work, and our focus becomes on the plan. When the plan doesn't work, then we're frustrated because the plan didn't work. But we're not looking at being open to receiving something even greater than what we could plan for. So release, like, set your intention, commit to it, and then release the way that you think things are supposed to go, and receive the inspiration, receive what God has prepared for you. Okay, so I wrote an offer on the property, and I was waiting to hear back today. So I just heard back, and it was they sent a counter, and I was like, okay, what's the counter? Well, I was planning. Here we go with the planning, right? This dress is not appropriate for phone for phone use. Anyway, so I was trying to plan. My plan was, I'm staying in a place right now on a different island. When I go back to the other island, I wanted to rent before we close. Early occupancy is what we call it in real estate. I wanted to rent before I close. So that's what I put in the offer. Well, when they countered back, they removed the rent before close. And I was like, oh, right? Like, that was my plan, where I was going to stay, so I didn't have to pay more money to stay in more hotels. And that was my plan. And then the agent, Dan, amazing, shout out to Dan. He's like, check your text message. I'm going to send you a screenshot of what they just sent me. And you guys, I'm not kidding. Like, perma smile. Life gets to be amazing. It gets to be joyful. They sent an email that said, I couldn't do the early occupancy, but the seller is going to pay for a hotel for me for the week and a half until we're closed. Like, it's included. It's just not that I'm staying I was going to try to go stay in the condo, and that wasn't the plan. And look, here's what's so amazing. And yes, I will get emotional because it is so freaking amazing. when we hold the grip so tight on what we think something is supposed to be, we don't get to have the amazing experiences of something like this, where the blessing that someone just gave to me, this opportunity to receive, is even greater than the plan that I had. Because one of the things I've had to work on is receiving. And I know that there's way more of me out there that have a hard time receiving. And one of the reasons why we plan and try to have everything so lined out is because we don't feel comfortable, or we don't believe that either great things can happen because we think life has to be hard, or we don't know how to receive because we have been so in control and so tightly gripped for so long that we can't allow receiving. Like, there's no space for it. So when you let go and when people say let go and let God, right? Let go, like, put it not in your hands, put it in God's hands, the universe's hands, your higher power's hands, like whatever that is for you, you let go, you then open up the windows to be able to receive something. And it can be more, would it be amazing if I just was renting in the condo? Sure. But is it even more amazing to have somebody be so gracious and kind as to pay up to $325 a night for a hotel room for me for a week and a half? That's an even greater blessing than getting what I wanted to start with. To be able to feel that and to accept that and to receive that. And that's a practice. All the tears, you guys. And these are tears of joy, by the way. This is not sadness. This is happiness. It gets to be amazing. It gets to be joyful. I've spent a lot of time, a lot of years, believing it has to be hard. And what I've practiced now is that it gets to be amazing and it gets to be joyful and it doesn't have to be hard. And it feels so good to get to receive. Okay. So that's the story. So I am buying a place. And it's amazing. And I'm so grateful. And there's some other pieces to this that you don't know. One of the pieces is somebody took a gamble on me. Okay, sorry. Woo! Somebody took a gamble on me about 5 months ago and lent me $800,000 off of a promise that I could flip a property in 90 days and pay them back. That's what I didn't tell most of you. And so I borrowed the money, no strings attached, no interest, no fees, just faith in me that I could pull it off. And so I took that $800,000, bought the property, went to work really fast. I flipped it, divided it, sold the pieces, got them all under contract, had to find buyers myself. I mean, there's so many steps, and I will teach a class on that. There's so many steps to that. But I'm yelling, oh my gosh. But what I want to say is, I, number one, paid that person back within 1 day of the 90 days. It was day 89 while I was in Italy. I set it up to win and was able to pay that person back. There's one more piece of property that still has to close. There was 4 pieces when I divided it. The 4th piece is going to profit me a little over $400,000. That's my profit after all of my expenses and all the things. It's about a $400,000 profit. So, I'm always transparent. I am with my students. I am on here about all the things, including money. So anyway, so that property was supposed to close. My buyer for that property was supposed to close about a month and a half ago. And his buyer fell through, so it didn't happen. It got extended to August 28th. Now, here's what's also amazing. I could have been really frustrated about that. I could have thought I needed to find a new buyer. I could have thought life was not going my way. Like, all the negativity, right? We could have all the negativity. And I chose to just stay in it and say, okay, I'll wait for you and everything will be fine. It'll work out. He finds another buyer. We close August 28th. which now happens to be the date that I will have the money to buy this property in Honolulu. Had I closed on that property a month and a half ago, I would have taken that money to pay off some other things and do some other things with it. And I wouldn't have what I needed to make the move that I'm making right now. So again, we grip so tight to the way that things, like with the way we think things are supposed to be, and the way we plan them and the way we set them up. And if they don't, we think there's something wrong. And like, God just keeps showing me over and over, and I'm giving him opportunity to as well, by the way, but he just keeps showing me that I can have a plan and I can still work toward that plan. And when I release the grip on believing that that's the way it needs to be, or the only way it needs to be, and not just trusting him and not just trusting myself, when I can release that, like, things line up in ways that you could never imagine, so that you can see the transformation I had in myself as I started that journey, not trusting myself and not even understanding or knowing that the journey I was on was to learn how to trust myself. And when you learn to trust yourself, you also deepen your trust in God or your higher power, whatever that is for you. You move in different ways than you've ever moved before. And it is so joyful and amazing, and life does not have to be so hard. And even though there are hard things and challenges and not fun things, because I know this seems very, if you've had loss, if you've had death, if you've had relationships that fail, you have children that don't speak to you, like, I'm not saying, this seems superficial, could seem superficial compared to some of the challenges that you've had in your life. And there's no comparison in anybody's circumstances or experiences that they've had. So that's very important that I say that. What I want you to understand is these are just examples. They're not your end all be all for all the different circumstances. They are like parables. You know how in the scriptures there's always parables, and you learn from the story. You learn the concept from the story. What my book is about, On My Way to You, is all of the different concepts and the parables, because that's what you learn through all these small little things that we don't see every day, that we don't stop and listen to and are able to see. And so then we feel sad and depressed and like there's no meaning to life sometimes. And what if it doesn't get better? And oh my gosh, do we have to live in this? And so that's what I want you to hear and take from this, is it's not about making some money off of flipping a property. It's not about buying a place. It's about the concept and learning the concept. And I fully know 100% that the things I'm experiencing, I'm allowed to experience because I'm also willing to share them. I'm allowed to see them in such a way that I can be able to share them with you so that you can be able to take that and learn from it as well. That's why I keep moving in the direction I'm moving. And I keep going because I'm learning, but I'm willing to share it so that you can learn. Okay, I'm going to cry my tears of joy. It's just so amazing. And I'm so excited.